Hi, I'm Mary Norquist. I'm the director of 100 Women Who Care. This is a brand new project for us in which we are developing videos for all of the NGOs that we have vetted and that we support. We want to increase public understanding of these organizations, what they do, and how you can get involved. Donation links and contact information is in the description below and also at the end of this video. Thank you for visiting us today. We really appreciate it.
Albergue ABBA works with people in mobility, migrants, who are both transient migrants passing through the state of Guanajuato, as well as asylum seekers in Mexico and migrants who have suffered accidents during their journey and need to recover both from the trauma as well as the physical and the mental trauma. Gangs and cartels that want to profit from them. I would say that the vast majority of women suffer sexual assaults or even have to sell themselves to be able to get through with security. Some people are kidnapped and ransomed, and so usually they lose whatever resources they have in coming north. And the immediate needs are a secure place to recover from injuries, to recover from hunger, to recover from lack of rest. And that is in the first 2 or 3 days. They travel in La Bestia, the beast, which is the freight train. And they get on top of the train and they're traveling. And the gang members come up to them and say, "Have you bought your ticket?" I said, "What ticket?" "No, if you want to travel on this train, you got to pay us." "I don't have anything to pay you." And they push them off. And so some of them suffer amputations from being pushed off, not just falling off. So that is I think the biggest challenge is having security, feeling safe. So we say no human is illegal, but they need a legal status in the country they're in. And so we help them with that. In the 9.5 years that the shelter's been operating, about 140,000 migrants have come through the shelter. The majority were migrants in transit. So we would get, when there were caravans, the maximum number of people that were in the shelter one day was 400. That was wall-to-wall people. Since the changes in politics have developed, we're seeing less migrants in transit and more migrants that want Mexico to be their destination. So initially we saw mostly men. Now we see families, 3 generations coming together, children. Last year we have two children be born in ABBA. 2 women gave birth in ABBA. I am Hernan Drobny. People know me as Nano, and I'm a member of the board of the Latin American Relief Fund, which is based legally in the United States, but centered in San Miguel, and a member of the board of the Albergue ABBA AC, the organization which is a migrant shelter in Celaya, Guanajuato, that provides services for people in mobility.
Could you first describe the 2 organizations and how they work together?
I work with the Latin American Relief Fund, which is a organization legally based in the United States, but centrally working in San Miguel, that supports humanitarian organizations that assist migrants in Mexico and tries to raise awareness of the plight of migrants. I also work with Albergue ABBA, which is a migrant shelter. The Latin American Relief Fund is one of the most effective and continuous supporters of Albergue ABBA.
What first inspired the creation of these organizations, and what keeps the spark alive today?
The family of Pastor Ignacio Martinez in Celaya started noticing that migrants were arriving in the trains with little food and little resources. And so they would go to the trains and feed them. After several years, they realized that feeding them wasn't enough because they had many other needs. And so they sought a place to shelter them and provide food and other services. When some Americans in San Miguel got to know Ignacio and his work, and saw that he was renting a home to provide assistance to migrants, they established the Latin American Relief Fund to support the ABBA shelter. After several years of providing the rent and the maintenance, the Latin American Relief Fund had a capital campaign and bought this property so that it is now solely owned. That is what provided the initiation of both organizations. At this point, realizing that the work that's being done in both organizations is specialized and unique, gives us all the initiative to continue working and supporting with this work and making it more and more professional.
How many people do you help, and where do they come from in general?
The migrants that we help, the demographics keep varying as the situations in different countries vary. Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala were the initial countries where the vast majority came from. Then came problems in Nicaragua, in Venezuela, in Ecuador, in Haiti, and we had different groups coming through. And so the various groups that come have varied during the different times.
What do you see as the biggest challenges migrants face when they arrive in Mexico?
The journey that they go through, whether it's going through the Darien Gap or going directly to Mexico, is very arduous. And once they arrive in Mexico, it's difficult even to get in, they find that the security is one of the biggest concerns, that there are gangs and cartels that want to profit from them. I would say that the vast majority of women suffer sexual assaults or even have to sell themselves to be able to get through with security. Some people are kidnapped and ransomed, and so usually they lose whatever resources they have in coming north. I'll give you one small example here, which is terrifying. But they travel in La Bestia, the beast, which is the freight train. And they get on top of the train and they're traveling. And the gang members come up to them and say, "Have you bought your ticket?" I said, "What ticket?" "No, if you want to travel on this train, you got to pay us." "I don't have anything to pay you." And they push them off. And so some of them suffer amputations from being pushed off, not just falling off. So that is I think the biggest challenge is having security, feeling safe.
In your view, what role should smaller NGOs like yours play compared to larger international charities?
The smaller organizations provide the direct support for individuals. It's personal. It's one child at a time, one woman at a time. And they have a mission to support individuals. And the Latin American Relief Fund helps Albergue ABBA fulfill that mission as they fulfill their mission. The larger organizations have a mission to support populations, have a mission to support certain groups of individuals, such as refugees or migrants, but not the individuals. So they seek out the smaller organizations to help them fulfill their mission. If you do your mission well, as a small organization, you get support from the larger ones.
And how do you balance providing immediate relief to these people with addressing the longer-term needs of the people you serve?
Well, for the individuals that come, you have to meet the immediate needs before you can even begin to start thinking of long-term. And the immediate needs are a secure place to recover from injuries, to recover from hunger, to recover from lack of rest. And that is in the first 2 or 3 days. Those that stay longer term or are injured need help not only in physical recovery, in rehabilitation, and getting prostheses and learning how to walk again, but they need ways of recovering from their trauma, as well as getting regularized. So we say no human is illegal, but they need a legal status in the country they're in. And so we help them with that. Those processes can take months and years.
Could you share with us one of the most powerful or memorable stories you've witnessed through your work?
We get so many examples, but the one that comes to mind is Mari, who was a woman from Honduras who was coming with her daughter and fell off the train and lost both of her legs. And she and her daughter and she were separated during the accident. The daughter was taken to ABBA for shelter, and Mari, who was taken to the hospital, was later reunited with her daughter at the ABBA shelter. Over time, as Mari began to heal her wounds, and her daughter, who stopped talking and was so traumatized, began to feel secure, play, go to a kindergarten and daycare, they gradually recovered. And then Javier, another migrant from Honduras who lost his leg on a train accident, arrived at ABBA, and they fell in love, got married, had a child, learned job skills. Mari became a jeweler. She began making jewelry, and Javier got a job in working for the municipality in gardening, and they later had a child, and they have now moved to their independent apartment. So this is a completion of the mission.
Fantastic. What do you think most people misunderstand about migration in Latin America?
Well, as we've seen covered in the news reports, many of the leaders vilify migrants. They say that they're criminals, they're lazy, they just want to take advantage of us. When the reality is that they're individuals that are desperate. They don't want to leave their homes, but they feel forced to. And so the misunderstanding of migrants as being dangerous or a threat to our livelihood is so completely different than the reality that they help our societies economically and provide services. And I think that that's the biggest misunderstanding people have about migrants, that they're really humans who are less likely to commit crimes than the population they're living with.
Which partnerships or collaborations have been most important to your success so far?
The partnerships that we've developed at ABBA include partnerships with powerful international organizations because we're the only one that provides the specialized care. And so we've had partnerships with the UNHCR, which is the refugee organization of the United Nations, as well as the IOM, which is the migrant organization of the United Nations, as well as the International Red Cross. And they have supported those specialized services that we're able to provide. And in the partnerships around the Latin American Relief Fund, including the connection to ABBA and the visibility that we're able to raise around ABBA, and we have received support from different religious groups around the United States as well as in San Miguel.
If someone wants to make a real difference to your organizations, what's the most effective way for them to help?
We always need more resources. We are building a new community center for rehabilitation and reintegration into society, and that's going to require a lot of resources. And we need support from the Latin American Relief Fund to build these resources, to support these resources, including people that can help us identify foundations that might be able to help us both in Mexico and the US, write grants for them, as well as we've received support from specialized organizations, one of them which is the Partnership for Trauma Recovery. When we realized that people are so traumatized, the idea of training all staff members at the shelter in being well informed about trauma this organization out of Berkeley, California, is providing training and reviewing all our protocols for care. So we're getting support from specialized organizations, and that kind of support is invaluable, but in reality, financial resources is necessary, and without them, we couldn't continue our work.
How has the recent geopolitical changes in the United States and other countries, how has that increased the number of families and people that you help?
It has significantly increased the number of people that need legal help to be able to stay in Mexico, and it has increased the families, the 3 generations that come together. There was a situation in the city of Irapuato, which is in the state of Guanajuato, where a train stopped, couldn't keep going, and a number of migrants got off and established a little community under the bridge. Those migrants wanted to stay there, and the municipality of Irapuato wanted them out. So the state of Guanajuato and the mayor of Irapuato asked the staff of ABBA to take them in. ABBA said, sure, we'll take them in, help them get their papers, help them become regular, give them what they need to continue their life, only if they want to. We're not forcing anybody. This is not a jail. And so we had a group of people from Irapuato come, get their paperwork, and now about 10 of them have jobs in Celaya.